Excellent. Good to see everybody again today. Archer, good to have you on screen. Guys, I think everybody knows Arthur as a co-founder of BitMEX, as the author of this blog, as Crypto Haze. And today we're going to have the chance to spend a good 25 minutes really discussing with Arthur, hearing his views on many of the big developments going on. By the way, Andrew introduced Arthur. One thing you may not know about Arthur is that in university, he was a serious bodybuilder. And now obviously switched to yoga. So here you go, a lot of paths lead to crypto. Archer, great to have you on stage with us today virtually.
Good morning, you motherfuckers.
Oh man, Archer, we have a lot of things to talk about. Good to see you. Okay, good to see that you're doing well. Arthur, we're going to talk today about macro, about some layer ones, about the merge, of course. There's a lot of things we want to hear your view. Let's start about a very light topic. Your views on what's happening on the macro markets right now. Where do you think we are in the cycle? Is this bear market going to continue? I can tell you that we're in Singapore here, there's no sign of a bear market. It's good old bull market days if you look at what the energy in the room and what's happening. What do you think? What's your view on where we are in the cycle, and what's your how's the path looking at from your perspective?
Yeah, so I guess the unfortunate part of all this is that we're a dollar-based world. And our daddies at the Fed have decided to remove the punch bowl and increase the interest rates, obviously, and remove dollar liquidity from the world. And we've seen equities, bonds, commodities, crypto, everything get their ass kicked in 2022. And it doesn't seem like Jay Powell is going to let up on this fight to tame inflation in the United States. But on the other hand, we've seen some impact on other central banks out there, most notably the Bank of England. Was it yesterday when they essentially had to basically enact yield curve control on the long end of the gilt curve because mortgage payers in the UK were about to see their rates skyrocket and affordability decline in housing. You were about to see some pension funds probably go bankrupt because of margin calls on derivatives they had on rates. And so we have this situation where the reserve currency is tightening and we're seeing ripple effects in Europe. Obviously, you have Japan close by where the BOJ is continuing what I think is an idiotic policy of capping rates on their 10-year bond at 25 basis points. But again, all that really doesn't matter because until the Fed starts to give dollars again to the economy, world economy, assets like crypto, equities are going to struggle. Do I think that Bitcoin and Ether and some of these other large caps have probably reached their bottom that we saw in June? Probably. Are we going to chop around here for maybe the next 3 to 9 months until the Fed breaks something so egregiously that they have to reverse course and start printing money again? Probably. So I think we're in it for a bit of low volume sideways for a while, and we're not going to be back at 30, 40, 50,000 Bitcoin anytime soon.
So a lot of sideways activity coming up. But what about some of the catalysts? Obviously recently with the merge happening a couple of weeks ago, I was reading in one of your blog posts recently that one of the main things you're watching right now is obviously what's going to happen with block issuance on ETH. What's your view on the merge? You think obviously you think we're going to see obviously ETH become a deflationary currency? What's going to be the practical impact, and what can this act as a catalyst when it comes to Ethereum in particular?
So I think the only thing in my mind that really matters for the merge is, okay, we've removed, I think about 12, 13,000-ish ETH supply every day. And to me, that's the only story. Now, it's going to take a while for that to feed into the price. Just like when Bitcoin halvings happen, it's not as if the price of Bitcoin automatically skyrockets when the block reward halves. It takes a bit of time. Also, we have this negative macro environment of the dollar that sort of bashed everything. Now, if you look at the ETH versus Bitcoin cross, it has continued to oscillate on an upward trend. So I'm not super, dismayed about ETH. I still believe that it can outperform, over the next 6 to 9 months, even if the Fed continues to remove liquidity and Bitcoin and some other cryptos essentially just stagnate. Because again, we removed all the supply from the market, and that to me is the most important thing when I look at ETH. And as long as that keeps happening, I'm very happy to continue to have my long position in ETH.
And more a part of like, EIP Y599, some of the burn and all the elements you mentioned. I mean, I remember in the early days, you used to be very anti-ETH. Let's say you're not a fan. What is the big change? I mean, obviously recently you've changed your tune. Like, is it in addition to obviously some of the merge and some of the burn mechanism? Are you more bullish because of the level of activity on the ecosystem? Is it other factors? What changed Arthur Hayes' view on Ethereum?
So I think I've said this a few times. So I started out being a super hater of ETH when they did their crowd sale, and I think it was 2014 or whatever it was. I said, this is a pure shitcoin, no supply cap. How could you give these guys any money? I wish I had bought some, obviously. And then I called it a double-digit shitcoin when it went down from, I think, about 1,400 at the all-time high at that time, down to, I think, like $66 or something around there was the low. And then starting after the March 2020 COVID nonsense, then I saw some chart posted somewhere, and someone showed, okay, the value of all dApps is greater than the value of ETH as a market cap function. I was like, okay, well, there's one of two things is happening here. Either ETH is supremely undervalued, or all these dApps are worth significantly less. Now, this is when all these, the ICOs have gone down like 99%. So, okay, are they going to really who's left to sell these things? They've already gotten crushed. So to my mind, that meant ETH has some value. And so I went pretty long ETH and, has done very well for me on that trade.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think it's all about decentralized finance and all these applications that are starting to be used, right? We have lending protocols. We have what I think is one of the most beautiful pieces of financial technology, the automated market maker and Uniswap, Sushi, 1inch, Balancer, all of these dexes. You have now moving into the derivative space, people trying to ideate on like, how do we create a decentralized derivatives exchange? You have insurance, you have all these different financial primitives being built on ETH, and not only being built, but actually having usage. People are spending time and money and gas to use these things, which wasn't the case back in 2017, 2018. But the landscape has completely changed. And then when you take a look at ETH versus other L1s, in my mind, it's all about how many developers are there, who's building stuff, right? Because great, you can raise a bunch of money from some Muppets and launch your token and it goes up. But at the end of the day, if no one's building anything, then you're just going to be vaporware very, very quickly. And so ETH has a commanding share of the developer talent into the decentralized space, and I think that's going to continue. And that's why I feel strong that ETH is going to continue to perform well.
But how worried are you, Arthur, about, for example, following the move to proof of stake? Now we have kind of a centralization problem with Coinbase, Kraken, and Lido basically having more than 50% of the staking capacity. How worried are you about that? Do you think that could be a detriment to Ethereum, or there's some positives angle to that ironic concentration?
Yeah, I think from an ideological perspective, it's an abject failure. Now, obviously, it's only been a week or so. So, give it some time. Hopefully things change, right? But if you're like, okay, if I'm trying to make a financial return and put aside what I believe about decentralization and censorship resistance, people have made a lot of money investing in essentially American-owned or Chinese-owned tech, right? And you're essentially handing your data over to one of these spheres of influence. It's not as if the government isn't seeing everything, all your cat pics and whatever kind of stuff you put on your phone and TikTok and Instagram. But you can still make a lot of money in these stocks. Same with Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
Could it just be a centralized version of a US government coin? Could be. We'll see if that actually happens. Does it mean that you can't make money? No. I think if the market actually starts freaking out about this, it's longer the tooth, and that'll be, further down the road. And by that point, hopefully I've seen enough signs and, I can go back to the one true love of Bitcoin and rebalance my portfolio away from ETH.
Going back to your true love on that side, what's your view on Ethereum proof of work? Obviously, you were there when we had the whole Ethereum Classic, let's say, moment. What's your view on ETHW? Do you think it'll be there, it'll remain, there'll be activity? Will we be talking about it 1 year from now? What do you think about it?
So I think I was reading somewhere, I saw somewhere that I think ETHW is like, I don't know, $5 or $10, however much it's worth right now. I was like, okay, well, how do I split my coins, right? And I'm pretty savvy with this stuff. I can navigate my way around different protocols. It's not self-evident how easy it is to do this, right? And so if I'm finding it a little bit difficult to find information on like, how do I like split my coins, get my ETH-W, and then I got to go send it to an exchange, and then gotta sell it. What about the average person who literally just wants to like experience using Uniswap or wanted to borrow and lend on Compound? Are they really going to fuck around in MetaMask trying to figure out which Ethereum they're going to use? They're just going to use Ethereum. Okay, and if MetaMask says that Ethereum is proof of stake, that's all the Ethereum that most users are ever going to know. And so I think that's the problem with ETH-W is just too many steps to get there. And so you're not going to have any real usage. And if you're not going to have any real usage, then no one's going to develop on it. And then, okay, the miners might put some hash power to it to recover some of their CapEx costs that they lost when after the merge. But are they really going to continue running these machines that are expensive for electricity and depreciation to upkeep this chain that no one's really using? So I think short term it'll be there. Will it always exist? Probably. It'll always have a price. Will it slowly go down over time, just like Bitcoin Cash and some of these other things that came in existence, after in the 2017 block size wars? I think it's going to follow something similar to that.
Interesting. I mean, let's see what happens on that perspective. I mean, you mentioned before DeFi, obviously, it's very interesting what's happening there, some of the usage and activity there. One other vertical of crypto that has boomed in recent years is really what's happening with perps. I mean, something that you guys at BitMEX literally invented. What's your view on the crypto derivative space? Do you think we're going to see increased level of activity, more instruments come in the market as part of natural evolution of the crypto industry? And how are you seeing crypto derivatives you think will evolve over the next couple of years?
So I think the next phase of crypto derivatives, just like anything, and like what's going on in sort of the borrowing and lending market, the fixed income market. Yeah. And we need something that's like truly crypto. I think we just experienced TradFi credit cycles with the collapse of Three Arrows and Genesis and Voyager and all these other centralized lending platforms. That's definitely bread and butter, fixed income. And I could give you the sequence of events that happened in June, and you could have mistaken that for the Asian financial crisis, Russian debt crisis, tequila crisis, Argentina. Pick a credit boom bust cycle that happened in crypto. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that's natively crypto, and I think that's going to come out of the staking ecosystem. Now that we have this staking yield from Ethereum, second largest crypto, hundreds of billions of dollars of market cap on this chain, and now we have this yield. What are all the different types of native things that we can build on top of this? What are all the use cases that we can help people out who have their ETH locked, who want to get some income? Maybe somebody wants to create sort of an ETH-like bond. How do we do that? So it's similar to how some of the bankers created all of these interest-only, principal-only, all these different strips of financial products in the mortgage market in the late 80s and early 90s, because that was, an evolution of derivatives. Yep. I think we can do the same thing here with ETH, and ETH is going to be the poster child on how we do this, because we have such a large captive audience of people who now understand, okay, I've got this thing, it yields something, here's a circle of, a surface of risk that I want to either accept or offload to somebody else. And I want to do that on chain. I don't want to use some sort of, centralized entity to do this. I want to be in the pure DeFi stuff. And so I think that's where we're going to go for the next flavor of derivatives, and what I'm super excited to see what people come up with.
Exactly, for something, a baby that you guys created, actually. You mentioned institutional investors, like, the TradFi. I mean, you spent many years in TradFi before joining the crypto bandwagon. And, when we both started in crypto, TradFi was not even looking at crypto. What's, from a scale to 1 to 10, where do you think are financial institutions with crypto? And do you think actually some of the recent events we've had could act potentially, ironically, as a catalyst to the entry of these TradFi firms, where they bring their risk management, counterparty risk, and some of those lessons that the experience that they have in those areas?
Yeah, so if you want to talk about like who could manage a centralized trading operation the best, it would probably be a TradFi player. Now, I think it's kind of like it's a two-step, one step forward, two steps back kind of thing for these TradFi institutions, right? Because if you're thinking about one of these Bitcoin blockchain teams, right? They have to get us a lot of political capital to do anything in the organization, because a lot of what they're, the ideology that we're espousing is essentially like, let's completely destroy all these institutions and create something that's better and cheaper and more inclusive for the global population. But then these guys want to, come on board and try to trade it and use the services. So you've got this like job risk of being on one of these blockchain crypto teams. And so when Bitcoin's at 70,000, not so much job risk. Let's do crypto. When Bitcoin's at 17,500, there's a lot of job risk. Hey, let me go trade the S&P, NASDAQ, and the usual suspects. All right. So I think it's a fair weather friend kind of thing. When the volumes are there and the interest is there, when the price is going up, because we're all human and we're all very pro-cyclical in our interest in these things, there's going to be fees to be made, and they're going to be there, and they're going to service their clients, and they're going to come up with solutions for them. Yep. But are they going to help bring forward new, primitives, technology, ideas, create new products? Absolutely not. They're followers, and so it's up to people who actually have real problems to solve, and probably less developed nations, or maybe less financially mobile places. They're the ones who are going to come up with the new stuff, because they have actual problems to solve. And here's this new system. How can we use this new system to solve problems that I have? Yeah. The large, too big to fail banks don't have problems. They're making plenty of money. They finance as an industry. It's a percentage of world GDP that the highest ever been. So there is no need for crypto for them. They're doing real well.
Talking about too big to fail, actually, what's your view of algorithmic stablecoins? Was Luna the final nail in that coffin, or you think we'll see the emergence of other algorithmic stablecoins over the next couple of years?
It's kind of like, you go to the beach sometime and you see those guys and gals with the metal detectors, and they're like searching for gold on the beach. Yep. Because like maybe they saw something on TV that, I can go make however many thousands of dollars if I buy this piece of equipment and go on the beach. And they probably have never found anything, but they keep doing it. I think that's what algorithmic stablecoin is going to be like. It's the philosopher's stone. Can I turn lead into gold? Yep. And we kept thinking we could do this for hundreds of years until we discovered the atom and how they actually work, right? So will algorithmic stablecoins continue? Absolutely. They will be another flavor of this thing, or flavors, because essentially it's an economic game of chicken. Yep. How much money can I make before it blows up? And humans don't learn. We do the same thing over and over and over again. And Terra was not the first one of these, and it won't be the last. Hopefully the next version doesn't lose $40 billion in 3 days, but we're all human.
Well, talking about new versions and new flavors, of course, since you started BitMEX, there's been many other crypto companies that have emerged. What is the one crypto company that has impressed you the most, whether it's centralized or decentralized, over the years?
I guess it's not a company, and maybe giving Uniswap the mantle is probably giving them too much credit, because they obviously built themselves on the shoulders of others. Correct. But I think the Spot AMM, automated market maker, is, to me, probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Go on this website. There's just 2 little fields. Choose 2 currencies. How much you want to swap one to the other. To connect your MetaMask or whatever wallet that you want to use, and boom, you're trading 24/7. Yeah. As fast as the Ethereum blockchain or whichever one, another L1 that you're using can work, you can trade. And it's so easy, it's so intuitive, and to me, it's just beautiful. And I think that's probably the thing that's impressed me the most.
Yeah, there's been impermanent loss, other things, but really the innovation that has enacted has been quite impressive. Arthur, we have like 5 minutes. I want to cover some personal topics as well. First of all, we're in Singapore today. Obviously, you've been living in Asia for many, many years. You're in Hong Kong initially, and back in the day when we were starting crypto, Asia had an outsized role in crypto globally. Many of the large companies we have around the world actually were created in Hong Kong or in Singapore or in Asia. Do you think, and of course this has stopped big time during COVID, and the approach that was taken. Do you think Asia will regain its outsized role in crypto globally now that we're putting COVID behind us?
I guess crypto and every other, if you want to call it economy, right? The Eurasian landmass houses 75% of the population and 75% of the energy in the world. Yep. And probably most of the cheapest energy. So if you think about that from that perspective, absolutely, this is region of the world that's going to lead things. And it's the region of the world that's very diverse in terms of development, right? And so you have hyper-developed places like Singapore, Hong Kong. You have hyper-underdeveloped places, pick Myanmar or something like that, right? But none of these places are the United States of America with the ability to print U.S. dollars. And so without that sort of privilege, you have to be a lot more innovative in what you're doing. And if you want to separate yourself from that sphere and create your own space, then you have to think a little bit differently. You have to allow innovation in areas which maybe you wouldn't otherwise have done. So I think that the energy we've seen in Asia in crypto from its start till today, obviously there's a bit of a pause. I think that's going to reaccelerate. And I mean, judging by the energy in Singapore for this conference, I think we can definitely see that Asia is not going to drop the ball on this.
That's the way I like to hear it. Arthur, in a minute as well, I think one thing that, we've been on stage many times together, and I think one thing, you're known as a bad boy of crypto. People know as Crypto Hayes, this, your bodybuilding and this. But you've also done a lot of philanthropic work, which I think is one of the things not many people know in crypto that you've been involved in. Can you share maybe more about that in like 30 seconds, about some of the philanthropic work you've been doing? Because I think people should know about that.
At a high level, I care about financial literacy for kids, right? So I was lucky enough to get about a $80,000 scholarship to go to university from an organization called the Jackie Robinson Organization. Yep. And, I've heavily supported them. I helped build part of the museum that just opened downtown New York. But at a higher level, I think it's, quite sad at the general level of financial literacy globally. And America is just, one place. And so I want to help kids learn about finance and not necessarily crypto, because I think once you understand how the system actually works, and maybe you don't think it works in your favor all the time, and then you see this Bitcoin thing, you're like, now I get why these guys are so religious about this, and why they think that this can actually be so helpful to the vast majority of the people who are not participating in the system. So that's sort of what I'm aimed at. I'll be rolling out some programs starting in the U.S. in this winter and early next year to help educate kids on just basic finance.
I love it. Actually, I think you're right. Crypto has brought more financial literacy. As somebody who's been a university professor for many years than actually many, many other textbooks that we have in TradFi. Arthur, before we let you go, my best friend, the bell is back. So we have to go through the traditional round of quick, fast questions. So I need 1 or 2 word answers, and the bell is here to keep us honest. You ready?
Yep.
So Arthur, you're a big yoga practitioner. What's your favorite type of yoga?
Iyengar.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Meditation. You meditate or no?
Yes.
Here we go. Any type of meditation?
No, usually if sit on my block for about 10 minutes every morning.
Here we go. So that's very good. You're a bodybuilder. What's you think the most impressive bodybuilder that we've had in history?
Ronnie Coleman.
Oh, Reggie Coleman. I thought you were going to say Arnold, but here we go.
Ronnie Coleman.
Here you go. Arthur Hayes, if you were not in crypto, what other industry would you be in?
Ooh. Party planner. On a more serious note, you read a lot. You're a big reader. What is the 1 or 2 authors you think the room you recommend that they read on topics you're following now? That is, man. 3 Body Problem. I can't. The 3 Body Problem.
Well, we'll come back to that. Arthur, you went to Wharton, right? So today, imagine your nephew comes to you and says that he's debating between going to university, joining a DeFi protocol, or joining a crypto startup. University, DeFi protocol, crypto startup. Which path do you recommend he takes?
DeFi protocol.
Here we go. Why is that?
It's the future.
Here we go. If you could launch a new crypto business today, what type of business would you launch?
NFT trading.
NFT trading. There you go. Interesting. Arthur, you could launch a new startup today and you have a choice of one of these co-founders. Who do you want? Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Kim Kardashian, or Do Kwon?
Ooh.
Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Kardashian, and Do Kwon.
Elon Musk, best meme artist ever.
Best meme artist. and maybe to finish it off, we have literally 10 seconds. Arthur, to finish off our one-on-one here at Token2049 this year. Arthur, you could have lunch or dinner with one person, dead or alive. Lunch with one person, dead or alive. Who would that be?
Ooh, one person, dead or alive. Jay Powell.
Who's that?
Jay Powell.
Jay Powell. Here we go. That was Arthur Hayes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Arthur, for being with us. And I'll pass it back to you, Andrew.